Welcome to Authentic Conversations with Ryan James Miller. Join Ryan as he speaks with top business leaders and influencers, and hear how they've mastered the art of authenticity to achieve all that they dreamed of. As you hear from these leaders, seek not only to be inspired by their authenticity, but to strive for and master your own.
All right. What up, everybody, and welcome to episode number 110, aka episode 1 of 2021, aka another episode, another opportunity for me to spend some time with you and for you to spend some time with me. You know, this is always the time of year that we are reflecting, right? Beginning of the year, we're reflecting on the last year, thinking about the year ahead. I've talked about this in bits and pieces over the last couple of podcast episodes that I've run solo on, in a lot of video content. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that. I'd really appreciate it. I'm sharing a lot of content there, different from the podcast type of content, some blog stuff, interactions with clients, coaching engagements, all different types of things. And so go over there, subscribe, youtube.com/Ryan James Miller. Please subscribe. I would so much appreciate you subscribing over there, engaging in that content. A lot more coming in 2021 from me, and in big thanks to my creative director, Ian Cabrera, who's been huge in just me continuing to produce content over the last year. So here we are kicking off a new year. And so I just want to talk a few minutes about a few different things that come to my mind as I have wound down a year and I'm turning the corner. One is, I hope this wasn't a Freudian slip when I made a note. I made a couple of notes for today. And so I just wanted to talk just a couple of minutes about burning out creatively at the end of 2020. I actually wrote 2021. I hope that doesn't happen this year. I hope actually that I'm going to learn from what's happened these last few weeks, and I won't make that same mistake a second time. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about my creativity resurgence, which obviously those are kind of go hand in hand together, thankfully. The third thing I want to talk about is this idea of being enough. It's my word of the year. I want to share a little bit about the process there, maybe help you dig through a similar process. And then finally, I want to share a little bit about my Be Authentic community and my hope for that and how maybe you can get involved there. And by the way, before I go any farther, I want to say that if you have consistently listened to this podcast, if you are subscribing on a platform through Spotify, through Apple, maybe through YouTube, through another podcasting platform of your choice, thank you. Thank you so much. I do thank you so much that I want to send you a gift. So if you're listening to this podcast episode right now, this is on the honor system, and you have been a regular subscriber to the podcast or a regular listener to the podcast over the last year, you can reach out to me through any form of social media. If you follow me there, you can email ryan@ryanjamesmiller.com, or you can text 714-202-9402. Let me know you're a subscriber. I'm going to get a mailing address from you, and I'm going to send you a gift. Maybe a Be Authentic hat, shirt, or sweatshirt. Maybe one of my favorite books from 2020, which I'm going to be sharing a little bit more on some of those in the coming weeks through some of my different social channels. Or maybe just something else altogether. Maybe a gift card to something that I like and hopefully you'll like too. So anyway, that'll just be my way to say thanks. Everybody's going to get something. It's going to be random as to what you get. And again, it's on the honor system. So fire away. Let me know if you subscribe. And just let me know, hey, I subscribe. Here's my address. Send me my gift for enduring a year with you or whatever. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's dig right in because I want to share just a couple of things because I'm sure some of you are going to resonate with what I'm going to be talking about. So I obviously had a lot of shifts in business over the last year. Some new opportunities came about. I really leaned into a couple of other things. I created a couple of new service offerings, which were really exciting. It took a lot of creative brain. Ian and I started working together quite a bit more to produce more video content. He's been really pushing me in awesome ways there. I've just been trying to do as much as I can to put myself out there to build a community, right? To build relationships, to create opportunities for us to engage with one another, just to encourage and support one another, potentially to do business together. And so as I've done that, it's taken a lot. As anybody knows, to create can be very draining. And for me, as the year wound down, I found myself less and less creative. I was just really having a hard time getting deeply engaged in the creative process. So much so that the consulting firm that I'm working with on a big course launch that's coming soon, which I've been saying for a while, is probably frustrated with the fact that it's been really hard to extract information out of me because I was just getting so exhausted the last couple of weeks of the year. And that wasn't necessarily because I was overworked. I mean, I've gotten into a really awesome rhythm of being able to play golf almost every Friday morning for the last few months. A huge shout out to one of my good buddies that's invited me into an environment to be able to do that. I've been spending more time with my family. So it's not that I've overworked myself. I was just getting drained. And really that was because I was pouring so much of myself into what I was doing. And I think I've talked about this before, I just wasn't taking enough time to fill myself back up, to allow other people to pour into me creatively, to really engage with and soak in the creative minds of other people out there. And so I just started to withdraw. As that was happening, one awesome thing that started to turn the corner, and by the way, when that happened, I stopped trying to force it. I started passing on creative calls, phone calls or meetings that I needed to be creative in. Like I just said, now's not the time. I just need to take a break. And we can't always do that. We can't always say no to things like that. But I would encourage you that if you're struggling at times to be creative, to invest into something, to pour yourself into something that really needs a lot of you, that if you're not feeling it, don't do it. Don't force yourself to get stuck in a situation that you will not be proud of later. And really, I mean, if you're pouring yourself into something, that's a product of you, and so you want it to be as good of a representation as possible. So just be willing to say no in those environments, or hold on, or maybe later. So one huge benefit that I really started to reinvigorate my creative process was because of a book that I read. So back in 2017, I've shared this in bits and pieces. In 2017, I was at a event, a conference for a business that I was working for at the time, with a bunch of peers, and it was very strategic in nature, learning, growing, developing ourselves. But one of the things that we got to do or participate in was at one point in the middle of one of the days, they brought in a magician to just entertain us, right? Just to allow us to kind of break free of the planning, the strategy, and just to soak in some entertainment. And I've always been really enthralled with magic. I just think it's so amazing, especially when it's a good musician, a good magician, but particularly when a magician is also a storyteller. And it just so happened that this magician was an amazing storyteller, as well as an amazing magician. I mean, I don't care what you say. It's very difficult to not be completely blown away as you watch somebody float a table out over the crowd with no strings attached. I mean, there were just so many things that I was watching him do that just blew me away. But what really hit me hard were things that he said. And I'm going to butcher it here, but he really dug into this idea that as adults, we lose our sense of imagination. We really lose this desire to utilize it, to explore it. As kids, we do it so well. As adults, we just squash it because of maybe a bad perception of what it is, or the fear of it being immature or something like that. So I've followed him all along. His name is Harris III, and I just really align with the ideas he has, the content he shares. He seems to be a wonderful husband and father, and I just love so much of that. And so I've followed him for the last few years. And so then he released this book called The Wonder Switch, and Harris just blew me away. Again, the way he told his story and incorporated the way in which our stories lead us to lose this sense of wonder. And I'm actually really excited to say that tomorrow, which will be actually previous to this episode being released, I have the privilege of hosting Harris III on Authentic Conversations. I'm going to be recording an episode with him. Probably to date will be my favorite guest, though I've loved having my wife and good friends and some amazing people. Something about the way that Harris has affected my life that I cannot wait to have a conversation with him. And so through reading The Wonder Switch, it really just stirred up a lot of things inside of me, a lot of ways in which my past has challenged me to explore my sense of wonder and imagination and really just the freedom to create. And there was a lot of other things in there that reading that book did, but it just really opened up my eyes to the beauty of being able to create the things that God has gifted me to create. And it's different for everybody, right? Some people will paint or draw or play music, build and design companies. And for me, so much of what I believe I have been created to create is to create an environment where people feel comfortable being themselves, where people feel comfortable being who they were created to be, where people explore who they've been created to be, and then to take those things and leverage those to live as happy and as fulfilled as humanly possible. Successful too. So my creativity just started to bubble up. I started to get excited again, so much so that normally on vacations, I don't work. Normally after hours at home, I don't work. And I found myself over Christmas break, actually in between Christmas and New Year's, I was on vacation, spending some time with extended family, and I found myself going for the computer and just taking notes and jotting down thoughts about what it was going to look like to create opportunities for my business, for my clients, and for the community at large. I mean, I was just so excited, and I've carried that in to the new year. And so my creativity really did resurge. And I'm so excited to continue to explore that really with you all over the course of this next year. And that will come out in a few different ways, one of which I'll share in a little bit, but that was one really exciting thing that happened. The other thing that happened over the last couple of weeks is, as I always reflect on the year and as I think about the new year ahead, one of the things that I've been doing since 2018 is kind of theming my year, really using a word to identify with over the course of the year. 2018, it was the year of experience, and that was on the back end of my tragedy in 2017 and recognizing that we may not be able to live the length of life that we hope for. And so I wanted to make sure that I experienced as much of life as possible in the event that I went home sooner than I thought I was going to. And so 2018 was a year of experience, and it was amazing. 2019 was a year of joy. 2020 was a year of fulfillment. And 2021, probably as the result of the struggle I faced towards the end of the year, a struggle that I think all of us face all the time. And so it continues to kind of war at me at different times. And then finally, as the result of listening to a sermon in church this past Sunday, even though it wasn't directly on this topic, this idea of enough came to be. This idea of being enough. And it's something that I struggle with. I struggle with believing that I'm always enough, that I'm worthy of the roles that I've been called to, that I'm enough for the people that pour into me, that I can give enough back to them, that I'm doing enough, that I'm serving enough, that I'm caring enough, that I'm loving enough, that I'm working enough. And it really begins to weigh on my sense of self-worth. I'm sure so many of you can resonate with that very same thing. So enough came to be this word. And as I think about that word for myself, and you may have seen this, I've posted it over the last few days on social media, but for me, it's really a reminder that my best is good enough. I need to consistently remind myself that my best is good enough. It takes a lot of self-awareness to believe that you are giving it your best, and our best is going to look different today than it will tomorrow, than it did the day before, than it will 2 weeks from now. I always want to commit to my best, but my best is always going to look different, and I need to believe that my best is always good enough. And I also, in this idea of enough, need to consistently remind myself that I will never do enough. That I won't ever be able to work hard enough, that I won't ever be able to put in enough effort, that I will not be able to be enough of a husband or a father that my wife and my kids deserve. That I'll just never be enough. And yet that's okay. Because for me personally as a Christian, it's okay to not be enough, to not do enough. Because to me and for me, Jesus is more than enough. And my life is ultimately found in him. He is my identity. That's why when I prioritize my roles in life, Christian is number one. And I try to do the best I can to remind myself of that, to encourage myself in that. And so my best is good enough. And though I will never do enough, because Jesus is enough and my life is found in him, that's okay. And it's also reminders that being enough means I don't have to produce, I don't have to perform, I don't have to live up to some standard to find worth, because I'm already enough. And at the same time, being enough means that I can strive for greatness like I never have before, with reckless abandon, without fear of failure, without fear of loss, because I don't need to fear not being worthy as the result of going for it and not getting it. I am enough. And so for you, whether or not that's your word of the year, I'm sure that resonates with you. And so let that be a reminder to you too. As you start this new year, whether you nailed your goals, you came up short in your goals in 2020, whether it was your best year yet or your worst year ever, whether you're in the best relationship or the worst, in the best career and ultimately where you want to go in life, or you still haven't been able to find your way, whether you've been able to achieve and acquire all kinds of things, or you're still trying to figure out a way to make ends meet. You are enough. Please hear me when I tell you that. I'm not making that up. I believe, whether or not you want to agree with me or not, that we were all created in the image of God. And in doing so, we find ultimate worth and value in him. That's where We all stand equal. There is nobody less than, nobody greater than, apart from God himself. And that is encouragement to run into this new year with everything that you have, because you are enough. And then finally, the last thing that I just wanted to share as I'm kicking off this new year is, I was thinking about this community that I've been blessed to be involved in and surrounded with, clients, peers, colleagues, friends, family. I'm just so fortunate to be surrounded by so many wonderful people. People that have encouraged and supported me, and people that I believe continue to be brought into my purview for me to be able to support and encourage and lead to become the best version of themselves. And so because of that, and because of this fun saying, be authentic, that started to become a really cool reality as the year went on, and people in large groups regularly referencing authenticity and my name together, affirming that I do live authentically as best as I can, people commenting on my posts and hashtagging be authentic. I really started to realize that this can be so much more. This can be so much of an opportunity for us together. And so I'm inviting anybody that desires to join this Be Authentic community in 2021. To be authentic is to align how you live with who you are. Do as you say as you do. It's to recognize, as I say as often as I possibly can, that the torn pages in your story should not prevent you from opening the book of your life. Allow people to read, to see, to experience you. You have so much to offer as you open up more and more. And to be authentic is to strive for the greatness you've been created for. We have all been created for our own level and opportunity of greatness. It's going to look different, but we all have an opportunity to impact other people, to encourage and support and bless other people. And so if that's you, if you hear those things and you're like, yes, I love those things. I want to live authentically. I want to be proud of who I am. I want to grow to be the best version of myself. Then I want to invite you in to be a part of this community. There'll be some fun things as the result of you joining. Once people sign up, and people have already started to sign up to join the community, send you out some stickers. A few of you will randomly get another gift as a result, so you can represent being authentic in your world. And then on top of that, I'm going to start sending out weekly text updates, different ways to encourage you to live a life of authenticity. Going to regularly create opportunities for people to win free hats, shirts, sweatshirts, and other really fun swag that I'm creating in the new year. Ways to, again, represent not my brand, but your message that you want to live authentically, that you want to be authentic, and you're encouraging other people to do the same thing. And this is a free community, 100% free community to anybody that wants to join. There will be an opportunity. There is a premium section that you can opt into that will involve the likes of a Slack community to regularly be in a collaborative messaging environment, to ask questions that I will be in on a day in and day out basis, to be able to lead and guide you through this process. In that community, in the premium community, I will be sharing my 9 pillars that I coach all of my high performers through. There'll be a lot of other benefits to being a part of that. But if you're like, look, I don't want to pay you anything. I just want to live authentically. I just want to be authentic. Then just join the free community. And you can do that by going to ryanjamesmiller.com/BA-join. ryanjamesmiller.com/BA-join. You can go there, you can opt in. And again, we're just going to create a community that is empowering and encouraging one another to live the way that they've been created to live, and that is as themselves. I'm excited for that. As I started to share that with people, they have been really, really excited. So that wraps up episode number 110, first one of 2021. Again, if you're a regular subscriber to the podcast, if you've been listening on a consistent basis, reach out to me, let me know. I'll gift you as the result, just a way to say thank you for your support. Without that, there's just no point to what I'm doing. I should also say it's pretty cool. I found out recently that the podcast surpassed 10,000 downloads. And when you average that out on a per episode basis, that's still less than 100 listens per episode across them all. We started very slow. We've slowly been building some steam. One day, I pray that this reaches thousands and thousands of people on a weekly basis. But really more importantly, I just want to make sure that every single person that listens finds value and is impacted by what I'm sharing, what the guests that I'm inviting on are sharing. You know somebody that you believe would be a great guest for a future episode, let me know. You know, more than me listening to people talk about how great their business is and the 7 tools to become the best marketer in the world, I'm really looking for guests that are willing to open up and to share authentically who they are, where they struggle, where they find success, and how they can help other people to navigate through similar situations. So if you know somebody, reach out to me. I'd be super appreciative of that. Again, thank you. So appreciative of you. Can't wait to share with you all of the exciting guests that are going to be coming up. Can't wait to record Harris's podcast. Going to be talking more about that. I'm going to be giving away a couple of copies of that book, The Wonder Switch, here over the next couple of weeks. So as I say, as often as I possibly can, and remember, if you want the most of the life that you are living, strive to be more of yourself. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Authentic Conversations with Ryan James Miller. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and share it with others. To connect with Ryan and learn more, visit ryanjamesmiller.com.